everybody, it's Amy Rich here with the 8th in the 12 projects of Christmas 2022. I can't believe we are already on number 8. I'm going to focus on one bundle in particular today for our card that we're going to make, and that is the Perched in a Tree bundle, which features the Perched in a Tree stamp set and then the Aspen trees dies, which is super pretty. We're just going to be using that big one that you've seen a lot, I'm sure, out there. A lot of people have been using that, but I'm going to turn that into a Christmas card because there are some Christmas sentiments in here as well. And then while I have this open, I'm also going to show you that I'm going to use the Real Red and Garden Green ribbon combo pack here, the Real Red this time. In one of my recent Stamp Together Saturdays, we used the Garden Green one. And then finally, I am going to grab a die for my sentiment here. With it comes from the Brightest Glow bundle. And it's a popular bundle. And here is the Labels of Glow dies. I couldn't remember what they were called, so I had to look that up here. Labels of Glow dies. So I just wanted to show you those items before we get started. And we're going to start with a piece of crumb cake cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And we are going to do some scoring here. First, we're going to score it at 5.5 inches. So that's scoring it in half. Then we're going to bring a ruler over here so we can make a couple tick marks. So I'm going to put the ruler in on the scored line at 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to just mark it at 0 and mark it at 3. And that means that we are 1.5 inches on each side of that score line. And then I'm going to do it again on the other side. So line up that score line at 1.5 inches and then tick marks at 0 and 3. Then grabbing our trimmer again, I'm going to score lines diagonal from each other. So the tick marks here, this one and this one, we're going to line up in this cutting groove, and using our scoring blade, we're going to score that line, and we're going to do the same thing across the other way to make an X of sorts. So we'll line up those tick marks and score. Then while we have this the way it is here, we're going to bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to grab that Aspen tree die. This is a fantastic die. And we are going to cut right into that crumb cake cardstock. So I want to make sure the whole thing fits in there really well, and lay it on my cutting plate with another cutting plate on top and run that through. I know that camera is really close, so my apologies. All right, so then when we take this off, you're gonna see it actually cuts pieces out of the image so that what's left are those trees. And I love, love, love that negative image type of look to that die. That is so cool. So just so you're aware of what other dies are in this die set. So we've got the leaves, and this, I believe, are some leaves that you can put on the branches. And then this bird, of course, gets cut out with the bird die. And then it's got a branch, and of course this one that is ever so popular. So I am going to fold on that score line so that those trees are the front of my card. Then I'm going to fold the opposite direction diagonally. And then we're going to use that bone folder and get a nice crease. Then we're going to go the opposite direction and do the same thing. We're going to bring that up. So what you have when you are all done is that middle score line is actually going to go pop under. I think I folded those wrong when I folded them, but you want those, that center one to go back, and then these other ones to pop up. So then what you have is what kind of resembles a birdhouse. That's the idea anyway. So let me get my bone folder back out and now go back and get that scored lines, get the scored lines folded really well. All right, so here we've got this really cool fun fold that looks like a little birdhouse, but we're gonna adhere some paper behind this so that you don't have to see all of the mechanism business on the inside. So I'm gonna bring in a piece of early espresso that's cut 4 by 5 1/4, and I am going to layer it on the back, just eyeballing it a little bit. And then I am going to just mark those angles with a pencil. And then you can do one of two things. You can either take a scissors and cut those down, or just grab your trimmer really quick and cut those corners off right along those lines. Now we will be able to tuck this in behind there, making sure to get up inside that mechanism. So what I'm going to do for adhesive is grab some liquid glue, and I'm going to go in these birch branches a little bit here, or aspen, I guess it's aspen trees. They kind of remind me of birch, I guess. I don't know much about my trees. I can locate a maple and oh my gosh, I'm going to draw a blank. I know what maple is, and I know what oak is. And linden, because those are the ones we have in our yard. All right, so actually I think what I'll do is I'll just put this over the top now so that we make sure to cover up all of those openings. And then when we bring that back up here, you can see what that's like then. So pretty. All right, so what I've done in advance is I stamped our bird in Tuxedo Black Memento ink on Very Vanilla cardstock, and I cut that out with the dies. And now I'm just going to do some coloring. I've got Cherry Cobbler that I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to start on the belly. Oops, I want the brush side. I'm going to start on the belly and just color here nice and dark. And then I'll go to the light color, Cherry Cobbler. And if I want that belly a little bit darker again, then I just come back in and redo some areas here so that it gets a little bit darker. And then I'm gonna bring that dark into the tail as well. So I'm just using the brush tips. I'm kind of, and a lot of you know this about me, I don't spend a ton of time. I just want to get it colored and make sure it looks nice, right? So now I'm going to go with a little bit brighter in here with the dark Poppy Parade, and then fill in with the light Poppy Parade. Now, what I love about Stampin' Blends is that you can change the color by just simply by going in a second time. I'll get around that eyeball there. So now if I want to blend these colors a little bit, it's going to have even a more different look if I add some of that Cherry Cobbler over the top. and just get that blended really well in there. So I'll grab some cherry cobbler for the top of the head too, because I really want to make sure it doesn't look like it's one color and then bam, it's another. You know, I want to be able to blend it a little more. And using the light cherry cobbler, you can see, hopefully on camera, that it is blending really well. I went outside the lines. Yikes. Yikes. And then using my Daffodil Delight, I'll just touch up the beak and the talons. And then he's ready to go. I'm kind of sad about that spot where I went out of the lines. Oh well. Then I'm going to bring in that label, and I'm going to stamp that in early espresso ink using Let Heaven and Nature Sing. And I'm going to go over to the right of my label. And then I'm going to run some ribbon through there and adhere it to the front of my card. So bringing in that real red, I'm using multiple reds here, and hopefully it feels like not so crazy once it's all said and done with these different reds. But I wanted the red to pop, and I think with these neutral colors, it really does. All right, so here I've got my label, and I want it over to the right a little bit. So I'm going to pop that up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to carefully avoid the ribbon under my dimensionals so that I can move the ribbon around if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to pop that right over here, and then see now how I can move that ribbon, and I'm going to bring that ribbon around and tie it in a bow here. Love that ribbon, it ties so smoothly. And then we're going to bring in our bird. Now I still am not really comfortable with the color of the bird's head, so I'm going to blend just a little bit more cherry cobbler in there. I think that helps a little bit. So see what I mean about how the more layers of color you add, the different it will look, you know? It's kind of a cool thing. So now I'm going to do a double pop-up. I'm going to pop the bird up again. So when I do that now, the head will be off the edge of the pop-up. So I will want that 2 dimensionals under there. And then dimensionals in the back and on the bottom too. All right, so now, oh, I might have to. So now I've got my 2 dimensionals up here, and then I'm gonna need a second one under here. I wasn't paying attention to that tail being off the edge there. All right, so now here we've got that beautiful card. And, you know, if you want to, you could add a little bit of Wink of Stella, but it's got this really cool fun fold. One other thing that I would probably do, and I should have maybe done it at the same time as the early espresso, is do the same thing with the vanilla here. And then trim those off. This time just for lack of wanting to bring out my trimmer again. My space is shrinking, so it's hard to fit that in. So now I'm going to add this, and I will use it's handy, so I'll use it, my liquid glue, and then I will pop that up into place, not pop it up, but push it into place here, so that I can add my handwritten message or another sentiment in there. But isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, so pretty. Love doing fun folds like this. I hope you've enjoyed project number 8, and I look forward to project number 9, where we will do a really cool box. So join me then, okay? We'll see you soon.